they might load
All right, we're on the countdown. I need to bring in a PA speaker so I can put it in the background. Hey, we're ready to start.
I put it on tape and stuck it under the sheet.
Yeah, it's time. You're on there.
You know, that kind of thing. And they're gonna, I'm not doing their laundry.
A little delayed.
Right.
Yeah. Where's that camera?
That camera's
yours.
right here. And then I got these cameras going. I guess I could clean that camera up a little bit. Is everybody ready? Should we get started? No? You want to just keep doing this? Oh, go! 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 I'm trying to clean up this video shot. Richard always gets so particular about the colors. He's like, it needs to be warm. It looks good warm. So he taught me how to make it warm. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the San Carlos Computer Club. I am Scott Stimson from International, which I discovered Fox News' tech section was kind of doing this morning. I've brought my own topics. Well, look this way.
See it in real time.
Shut the damn TV.
This is the video equivalent of texting somebody across the table. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You guys are the San Carlos Computer Club. As I've said before, if you sit at our table, you are one of our members, and you're always welcome. Anybody's welcome to be here. In classic style, we're unorganized with no agenda. I've brought a couple of my own topics, but I would be very interested in answering questions and hearing some of your topics. So if anybody has something, I see Irving's up. Somebody said they brought 4 topics. Was that you messing with me? Okay. Irving, what do you got going on?
Well, I brought up about this TiVo Bolt that promised to be able to record in advance Netflix, Prime, and basically you promised that you could record. Reviews were great and easy and simple, so I bought it. Received it. I subscribed to the service. Completely zero. Completely misadvertising. I don't know where they got these reviews. You cannot record. You can record it only live. You cannot record anything in advance. So it's basically a completely useless thing. I returned it and was able to cancel. And even that was difficult because I was passed around and nobody seemed to know what this thing could do. So
Wow.
stay away from it.
So you were hoping that you could pre-program it.
I could use it as a DVD recorder. Years ago I had one before DVR came out where I could record programs in the future. I just intercepted the TV signal with this, or no, it went through this.
So in the past when we used VCRs and that kind of technology, we would set them on a channel and then we would set a timer.
Right.
And then as we got more sophisticated with systems like TiVo, the TiVo would have a guide and it would set its own timer.
Yes.
And what you're saying about this is that it has no timer guide type setting.
It can only record live from an antenna. It cannot. It's not licensed to record in advance with all of the programs that they say they could do, like.
So like Prime. It was, well, yeah, like you were thinking Prime or Netflix or Hulu or something like that. Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the location.
No, it's that they don't have licensing to do it. So that's all they do is give you a link and you can watch it in real time, but you have it anyway because you have to be a subscriber. So basically it serves no purpose whatsoever.
Right, like you would have, yeah, as far as you probably.
It would save a program you're watching so you could watch it again. That's the only advantage.
Or you could turn it on and walk the dog and come back and watch it.
One live and then review it later. Yeah. But the advertising is completely misleading. And when I tried to get some information from technical support, they themselves didn't, and it got passed around a little bit.
Too new. That's probably
They've
what
never
I'm,
used it.
Not gonna work at all, it's just misleading.
but the customer support, it's probably such a new product, they need to,
Maybe.
it's like, you're right, it sounds like it should do that, I don't know anything about that, here, let me see if somebody else knows something more about it.
So fortunately, one of the reasons I like to order from Amazon is when you return something, it's instantaneous.
Sure.
They give you your money.
That's great. Yeah, well, it's thanks for looking into that, because that's good for us to know. The Bolt, not living up to what it should be. Did anybody take advantage of Black Friday shopping? No. Oh, I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and bit the bullet on a smart speaker Fire TV 4K combination. One of those sticks. Yeah. So the stick and the smart speaker cost less than half the price of them with normal pricing. I saved like $52 on it, and I paid something like $49 for the combination. I'm a junkie. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I just couldn't. I knew I could figure out something to do with it. They might end up Christmas presents.
That's not saving money, that's spending money.
In the words of my mother, I will finance our trips with the money I save. More stuff. Well, the smart speaker makes sense to couple. I mean, if you're into the Amazon stuff, it makes sense to couple the smart speaker and a Fire TV stick, because if you want to be that kind of person, you can shout out what you're looking for, and it will pop up on your screen. So, I mean, there's some sense to it. I think I'll probably divide them apart, though. I might give a speaker to a kid to go play with, and put a Fire stick on. This is actually the first Fire stick I will own. All I've had is experience with other people's Fire sticks, and they're a decent product. I don't know if many of you are probably getting TV service from Scott Bailey, but that's what he uses for his system is the Fire stick. Yeah, well, and if you are interested in the Fire TV, this 4K stick outperforms the Fire TV box, and so this is a much better purchase than that device.
Some rating service that did a research on that, said that was true.
Yeah.
Is it just like a USB thing you stick on the side?
Well, it plugs in to an HDMI port, kind of like this cable that I've got going to the TV set right now. And then you have to power it. And so it's got a USB port on it so you can plug it into power. And if you've got a TV that supports that much wattage, you can plug it right into the TV. Otherwise, you can plug it into a USB charger and plug it into the wall.
And it doesn't chop out the
When
time.
you use a repeater, a Wi-Fi booster in the house, does that help the Fire stick? Would it help?
It wouldn't. What a repeater would do is it would help you with range,
Okay.
but not necessarily performance. So if you've got a good Wi-Fi signal and you're getting bad performance, an extender is just going to make it worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I
But
was wondering if I should.
if you want both
Trial
range
it
and
on.
performance, I've mentioned it before, you got to get into these mesh networks. It's just amazing how it's like you're sitting right next to your internet Wi-Fi. I mean, you're out in the garage or in 4 rooms down. If you've gotten this mesh network set up, it's amazing the performance you can get out of it. But you have to have that performance coming into the house to begin with.
The performance coming into the house is what?
Is what Telmex or Megacable's giving you, or X-Pro or TCS, however you're getting your internet, that's the performance that's going to matter. And then your job is to try and get that same performance all over your house. So if you're sitting right next to your Wi-Fi router, it's literally sitting on the counter next to you, and you're only getting 1 megabit a second, no amount of mesh network or extenders is going to fix that. That's a service provider problem. And in some areas of town, people have found that's all you're going to get is 2.9 megabits a second. You could cable it right into your computer. It's not going to go any faster than that.
Do those extenders that you buy at Telmex, do they amount to the same thing?
The extenders, the way to think of these range extenders is for distance, and many times they compromise performance. The idea is that you need internet 4 rooms down, and it doesn't appear down there in Wi-Fi. And so you give up on some of the performance to bring internet down to that room. Actually, in many cases, I'll find it will drop performance in half. So like if you're getting 10, there's a good chance, depending on the extender you're using, it wouldn't be surprising to see it go down to 5. But again, you have to think about that room as before it didn't have internet, and now it does.
And 0 to 5.
Yeah. And to be fair and honest with you folks, it's taken years for me to be able to articulate this so clearly. I didn't understand how easy that balance works, but that's the way these extenders do work. Is we get almost full performance out of this extender because it's cabled directly to the internet that's coming in. The modem that's in the office, we've run a cable all the way over here and plugged this extender into it. So
that's not a Wi-Fi transmit.
That's right. It's not a Wi-Fi range extender. It's actually a Wi-Fi access point that's part of their network, and it's physically connected to maintain that performance, so we don't have any performance loss. So that is really, up until these mesh networks became popular, that was the real solution. Some of you folks that live in really large houses, people like me would go in and have star networks installed. You'd have a central point where you brought in the internet, and then you'd run cables out to the areas that you wanted Wi-Fi, and then you'd put an extender, you'd put an access point at the end of those cables. And so the pool has internet, and the guest room has internet, and the garage has internet.
Isn't there a device that allows you to go through the actual electrical system?
Yeah, and that's a similar kind of idea, is to be able to use the electrical cables as the network that you're running data across. You guys have heard me say before, I don't like those networks in this country. I think the electricity is just, in general, my recommendation is no, mostly because I didn't have anything to do with the construction of your house. I don't know how old your house is. I don't know what was used to make your electric signals. I have a lot of trouble plugging a data device into an electrical device in this country. There are other ways to do the same thing that they don't make me as fearful.
I have green wiring for ground.
Oh, see that you're special. Yeah, you have you think you're special because you have a green wire for ground.
Yeah.
You're special because you have a ground.
Is the green wire connected to the ground?
Right.
No, that's not necessary.
Oh,
Do you get electrocuted in the shower? No, because that was.
Touch your refrigerator.
Or when you touch your refrigerator. That's right. They used to ground a house by grounding it to a water pipe.
Oh dear.
That's the hot water.
It has dramatically changed. I've talked to a number of contractors throughout I've been here over 20 years, and I've talked to a number of contractors throughout the years, and I've watched them change their methodology. You can get a sharp contractor that knows what's going on. But any of your houses that are over 20 years old, who knows how they're wired together?
Has anybody here ever redone it?
Oh, yeah.
Redone one of the
We've
old ones?
all had at least bits and
Yeah.
pieces.
Oh, but bits
redone.
of, I mean, do it again. I just wondered.
Yeah, I think the most economical solution has always been redoing sections.
Sections.
Yeah, and some sections are so complicated. I know that one of my recommendations is ground this outlet however you can. And for less than 600 pesos, somebody will come out and drive a grounding rod in right behind the wall where you're trying to ground an outlet and drill a hole and run a grounding cable out, and that one outlet is now grounded.
The one I liked was when they, at least our put sockets right next to the cold water faucet in the kitchen. It's like, oh my God, and every house that he built, it's the same thing.
Because he was grounding it to the,
I don't know,
pipe.
I don't know.
He was just hoping for more work in the future. You know?
You wanted to see how you glowed.
Oh,
My house
we
was
lost it.
properly
Whoops.
wired, but when we had that flood, there was 2.5 feet of water in there, and that took
thank
put
you.
all the places
replace one that's
underground.
there.
Gary, thank you for bringing that up, because that is another point that I make, and I forgot to make it now, is that we had that flood. And so many of these houses had 2 to 4 feet of water up the wall. Many of these houses have outlets that have sat in seawater,
Going in, yeah.
right? And so I wouldn't want to plug something as sensitive as data equipment into the electrical, because it's another reason to be skeptical of the electrical.
Mine all seemed to work fine. I'm surprised at that.
The electric goes off.
The only one that doesn't work the way you expect it to is the switch that's supposed to get off the ground, the light switch. Turn it on, nothing happens until you give it a little wiggle.
Oh boy.
Clean the terminals.
There are a lot of problems around here that get solved with a little wiggle. It's just-
Or a hammer.
or hammer.
But actually, you said before that one of the biggest problems is polarity
Yep.
in the socket. And a person could go through and
According to the God.
repolarize, rewire their sockets so that they're all have the right polarity.
Yeah, I think you want to start with a bit of electrical knowledge, so you don't want to nonchalantly just be swapping the wires, because that leg could be wired correctly to the polarity. This was even.
And farther back down the line is where you need to.
That's right. You're just in. Yeah, it would be easy to miss. You want a plan. You want somebody that's done this stuff and plan it out.
Stumble around in the dark.
I know that I hired a horrible electrician when I built my house, and I spent the next 3 years sorting out the electricity. And so we had areas of the house that had to be rewired because they weren't tight, they weren't after I'd gotten a shock plugging in my entertainment center through my knee. I mean, in less than 10 minutes I had electricity run across my chest twice. And I'm like, wow. And we had infants at the time, and my wife had taken them over to my in-laws' house because they just got back from Alaska. They wanted to see her mom and their aunts and uncles, and their infants are crawling age, right? And I'm like, maybe you guys ought to stay the night there till I get this sorted out, because they'd be licking the fridge.
Did you say clear before you plugged it in?
Right.
Who do you use for electrician around here?
Nowadays, I don't know. I used to use CM all the time, Carlos Monroy. And if you can get him, he's a great electrician, him and his boys. He's out of Guaymas. But I stopped recommending him because he got involved in so many projects. It just became unreliable. I like to recommend people that you call and they show up. And I would totally recommend him and his guys because they know exactly what they're doing. I can't recommend him for timeliness or to get back to you or to speak English in a way that you'd understand him.
Isn't there somebody in San Carlos?
There's
Well,
a lot
I
of
have a
people.
Well, that person you had gave us a talk about solar panels.
He doesn't, Marco.
Yeah, Marco
He did
doesn't
my
really
panel.
do that.
Well, but he did for
He
me.
will, but
Yeah.
he's another
Put in
one
a
that's
new
got
box.
to-
Yeah, I mean, he's told me, thank you for reminding me, because Marco has told me in the past, if you don't have someone to recommend, you can recommend me. He'd be a good one to talk to, even if he wasn't the right one to do the job.
He recommends
No.
on from there, because like I had trouble remembering my washing machine, and he knew exactly who could fix the washing machine.
Marco
over
And
Ormus.
Marco
Shadow
Cruz,
Gabrielle could recommend.
the solar guy, and he's gotten a reputation for being very trustworthy, and I would trust him to tell me who's the right person to do my electricity if it wasn't him.
He did my mini splits. Fixed
Right.
fixed the wires
Answer the
fixed,
phone.
and did a
Scott, I
maintenance.
have a
on them.
great recommendation.
Yes, sir.
I've used them for 15 years as a father and son. They're honest, they always come right away, even came on a holiday one time, I don't know. And, they're terrific mechanics, they're very reasonable, and I'll try to bring it the next time I come.
Oh, okay, you don't have their name with you?
But they don't speak English,
They don't speak English, okay.
but they are
And who is that?
absolutely fabulous.
He's gonna bring the information next week. Doesn't have the name on the tip of his tongue, but he uses them all the time.
But if you need it right away, Bob, I'll give you my phone number and you can call me. And I recommend them very highly.
So if we have a power outage, is it the same as unplugging if you throw the breakers?
You're talking about your main breakers? If you just turn off your whole house? Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
The
Yeah, but you gotta go out there in the rain to do it.
Mine's inside, I
You
don't
gotta
have to
reset
go
the
anywhere.
clock.
Lock the door.
I just walk to the back room and flick
Just
up.
cause you did something right.
I still need to run around and unplug and turn off
Oh, you do?
batteries because they're
Yeah.
just beeping
Oh,
at
well,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's always, that's all.
So we did.
Every time the power goes out,
Yeah.
I hesitate to reset the clock, 'cause every time I.
So let's see, we're talking about range extenders. I like to keep notes of what we're talking about. Range extenders, electricity in Mexico. What other topics did we have just now?
I have one I'd like to talk about.
All right.
WhatsApp
What's that?
is specifically the commissario has.
Oh, what a
put
great
out-
topic. We haven't
Okay.
talked about this at
Tell
all.
me about it and what's going on.
I think that the gringos need to be more aware of this, but the Comisario has been promoting that there are neighborhood watch WhatsApp groups for each one of your regions around town. And all you need to do is communicate with him through WhatsApp and tell him where you live, and he'll add you to the group. Now, in my experience, I'm out in the Ranchitos, and so I would imagine it's different in other parts of town. But in the Ranchitos, I have yet to see an English message scroll by.
Oh,
Right? So I would be part of the group. I would do it on my phone. I would have Google Translate. Handy.
You have to do it on a phone.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to put WhatsApp on my iPad.
you can't.
Well,
Wait.
you can.
Well, you can.
Oh, you
There-
can?
Yeah, there are WhatsApp apps for your computer for the major platforms. You need to have your phone on internet running WhatsApp at the same time.
So really, it doesn't.
Well, I mean, if you're like I use it all the time.
On there?
Yeah, I use WhatsApp on my computer because I can throw pictures into it, and I can type verbosely into
So
it.
the only thing is, my phone has to be, the WhatsApp
Has-
app has to be up,
That's right.
and then,
I think you've got an iPhone, right?
Uh-huh.
See, I think your WhatsApp is just running all the time.
it is, but
Yeah.
I can't seem to get it on my MacBook.
And the way I've seen to take a picture of that QR code, and then
So that's what they want you to do.
that's right. If you go into the WhatsApp app, I'm sorry, we've digressed off the
No, I
commissario
need to
topic.
understand this WhatsApp app.
Right.
'cause
Yeah,
But-
This app is really bugging me.
So when you open WhatsApp,
Yeah.
there is a WhatsApp web, and you click on that, and it will show you all the. Let me see if this will work. Let's try this. Let's get me on screen.
See, and I don't get that.
Okay, so
I'll see if I
that's
can.
my phone. That's in the WhatsApp web. That's after the more. Here, you get to see all my friends and contacts.
How
See
do I
the?
get to that?
Do you see the 3 dots in the corner?
Yeah.
That's the more button. Are you in WhatsApp?
I don't know.
I
have
don't see
those
what's
three
that.
buttons.
Go into WhatsApp.
turquoise bar?
Hold on, maybe we'll
I am
have.
in WhatsApp.
No, you're too far.
Okay,
Yes.
and cancel that new call.
Go back.
I got
And
status, calls, camera, chats, settings.
settings.
Chats,
Okay, I'm in settings.
Settings.
And look for WhatsApp web.
Web desktop.
Yeah.
WhatsApp web, got it.
Okay, and now it's looking for that QR code.
No.
See how his has a green header
See
Okay.
now when
with his friends?
well she's on an iPhone. May I borrow your iPhone?
Go for it.
Okay, so here let's show you what it's looking like on an iPhone. Here's am I hiding do I need to
No.
worry about
There's
this is
nothing.
going out on the internet?
Showing the world.
Okay, showing the world. Okay, so this is what the WhatsApp. Come on, focus. Get those colors. It's too bright.
Shows the contact.
Come on.
It's just a list of chats.
Yeah,
what I'm in.
and then you go to settings.
There we go. That's what we're
There's
looking for
calls.
right there.
Okay.
Okay, so on the iPhone version, it's got a setting button in the lower corner,
Right,
right? So you go into the settings,
got it.
and then right there, the second item down is WhatsApp Web Desktop,
Yes.
and you click on that. And now this is looking for a QR code.
Okay, mine just says scan QR code. It doesn't give me a QR.
No, you get the QR code from the desktop
Okay,
client.
I don't.
Jody,
Yeah.
you get it from the iPad.
Oh,
So you point this phone
okay.
at the iPad, and it authorizes.
This is what this is trying to show me. you see.
What do I go
I
to
didn't
in my,
quite get
So
what
bring
that
up
was.
WhatsApp in there.
I haven't got that.
Okay, so you'll have to install it.
Where do I go?
And then here, let me show you browser. And one of the nice things about Opera as a web browser is you can do your Facebook Messenger here, as well as your WhatsApp, as well as Telegraph.
So do I go to the App Store to get my WhatsApp?
Yeah, I guess you would on an iPad. Is that how you're doing it?
It's not available for iPad.
Oh, it's not available for iPad.
Not the last, no, I have to have it on my desktop.
That's interesting. You would think it'd be available.
It wasn't the last time I checked.
Oh,
It says
what's
not
it?
available on this platform.
Oh, mine isn't available because mine is a very old iPad, because I'm running an old
Mine's pretty new and it,
Well, here, let's do a quick Google search here.
messaging for WhatsApp on iPad. Get.
Oh, there you go.
but it's a different,
Burek Asmoglu.
Oh, no, that's not
see,
it.
that's
That's not
different.
it?
She's right. That's not it. That's not a sanctioned.
See, that's what it comes up.
Right.
That's not a. That's interesting. Let's find out here.
It looks similar, doesn't it, with the three little dots instead of the.
See, and that's the one that is not.
WhatsApp client for iPhone and iPad.
Messenger for WhatsApp. Here's another one by Lim Hong.
Can WhatsApp be installed in iPad? There's no official WhatsApp app available for the iPad.
That's what I said.
Androids,
But there's
yes.
a workaround.
The
I'm sure there is, but I don't.
Says, here's how to install.
But it was
use what-
way more than what I wanted to do. You have to-
Yeah, if you want, I'll make a note and try and
Yeah.
play around with it, see if I can make any sense out of it. But I'm not a big fan of using unsanctioned apps.
No, and I won't.
Okay, so
Yeah.
back to WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
On
Okay.
an iPhone, it has chats, it has calls, it has, I don't know how to get back to that other thing. Oh, here, calls. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I can make calls, I can create groups.
Yep. And that's what the commissario thing is about, is a group for neighborhood watch for each one of the areas of town.
It's like
Okay.
next door. Do you know next door? Do you have that in Canada, next door?
No.
Next door or neighbors?
So
It's
there's
next door.
there's
Okay.
calls and there's chats.
Mm-hmm.
And so this morning I sent to Enrique Gamaz, I don't know how to say Enrique's name, but
You
anyways.
did
Okay, because I got it off of WhatsApp. WhatsApp.
What's up, San Carlos?
WhatsApp told me to go to WhatsApp and type in this phone number. I typed in the phone number. I told him our names. I told him where we're living and how long we will be living there. What is he gonna do now?
So he adds your phone number, your WhatsApp identity
Okay.
to that group.
Uh-huh.
That group appears in your list of contacts.
Broadcast list.
And what happens is when it gets updated, see, this is his personal list. This
Yes.
is your
Yes,
interaction.
that I sent to him.
Right. But what you'll end up with is a group named for your area of town. Did you send him your address?
I did.
Okay. So you might just send him a follow-up message saying, I don't appear in any groups yet.
So
when
this is
did
a
you
group I
send it?
created when we were in Vegas.
Sure.
I created this group, so he's going to create a group
He has
for
a
the
group
Caracol,
for the Caracol.
and he will add me to it. So
That's right.
anybody that types anything into this
Group.
chat, it'll be chats, not calls.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a chat group that he's creating. Anybody sees anything in our area, they put it on there.
That's right, including
Mostly
like
in Spanish.
photos of strange. Well, I think it has more to do with I live in the Ranchitos.
Right. So
And
maybe
most of
mine-
this stuff went out in Spanish, and so I'm assuming that because of the region of town I live in, that's the reason I'm seeing so much Spanish. And I suspect if you're in a group for the Caracol, you may find a lot more English being thrown around.
Okay.
The point he's made in our group a number of times now is this is for emergency use only.
Okay.
And he's chastised people, and he has a separate group for just community information. And he's mentioned that a couple of times since I joined the group. And a couple of people just immediately popped in and said, well, add me to that group. Add me to that group. And I did the same thing. I said, well, I want to be part of that group too, because no, nobody's breaking into the house, but there are horses eating our trash. Right?
so
That's
you
not
would-
an emergency, but it does need to be dealt with.
So that is a community group.
For your area of town.
No. Two things.
Yeah.
Neighborhood watch. What
That's
did
right.
we call the other one?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about the naming.
Okay.
Right, but how would you do it? You know what? He speaks English.
Yes.
I would say add me to the neighborhood watch group.
Okay, I did.
Yeah.
Put that already in a message to
So,
him.
so you might just ask, has this
Community
happened yet?
information.
Okay,
Can you
through
bring up
March
that
this year.
group and see
We
if
would
you're
like to
there?
participate in the neighborhood watch. Please add this number to the group.
Right, and you've given the address. Okay, the Caracol group. So you might just write
Add
him back
another
and
message
just
and
say, what's up with this? Like a follow-up.
You also have another group that's mainly for information? Is that kind of what it
Community
is?
information.
Community chat.
Yeah, I wish I could say correctly. All I know is that he had said stop posting this stuff in. This is for emergency. We have another group. That's how I found out about it.
Okay. So the other.
And
Okay. Now, so for neighborhood watch.
comite would be like a committee, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's what he's done is he's just created a group for commentary about the Ranchitos, which he would have for the Caracol. He would have for. Yes, Bob, you have something to add?
Wait,
Semana Santa.
so the other thing is.
Are you a WhatsApp expert that want to lay your knowledge down on us?
So the other thing is, how do I get a hold of police and things like that? Is it just phone calls is the best way?
If you need a cop?
Yeah.
Gosh, I think that's the whole point of this neighborhood watch.
Okay.
I think that's I think the reason this has become a thing is because we're having trouble getting quick responses to anything, and some of those problems in our community is who do I call? I
Who do I
don't
call?
speak Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so this gives you the opportunity to have another way to communicate with the comisario.
You know, Jennifer Hudson used to be here,
Mhm.
and she was our telephone number. I could, anytime, day or night, phone Jennifer and say, this is what I need. Say it in Spanish, So I was at a Telcel, and I put her on the phone, and she would do all the Spanish for me. and she's gone.
Well,
so I need some sort of
Not day or
contacts.
night, but my wife does a lot of that
Yulia
stuff.
does
So,
that,
so
and-
you
and-
can ask Yulia to help you with that stuff too.
Yeah, I've also often put her name out there when people are saying, help, what am I gonna do, So, okay.
So
that's
any more questions? I
neighborhood
think this
watch.
is a great topic. I think this is a good reason for all of us to have WhatsApp is just for that instantaneous communication with the comisario when an emergency. And it's also been really good. We haven't taken it. The horses thing is funny,
Uh-huh.
but immediately we had a number of people saying, yes, they just came through my yard. Yes, they just came through our yard.
Okay.
Right? And you could imagine if there's some strange person that just tried to break into your house, you're like, hey, I just had somebody on I Street try and get into my house. Then people looking at it would be, oh, he just walked past my house, just walk. So we
So
got
be
to take a
live.
picture. Right? We've had that already been seen where somebody's gotten a picture and passed it around on WhatsApp.
Okay.
My security camera got a picture of the guy breaking into my yard last night. Here's the picture of the guy, and that gets passed through your group.
So I have a friend that told me, Maggie was the first one told me about WhatsApp.
Mhm.
Another friend that will not use Facebook Messenger. She believes that it is wrong or not safe. So she uses WhatsApp.
Okay.
I was in a store a computer store, and the guy said, I just heard that WhatsApp has a virus that downloads onto your iPhone and you shouldn't use it. So, is there a security issue with WhatsApp?
See if you're on there.
There is a security issue with everything.
With everything.
Do that, yeah.
And what's out of the apps that you could be using, WhatsApp is considered one of the most secure.
Okay.
And the reason is because the communication on WhatsApp happens encrypted from phone to phone.
Okay.
Messenger did not start out with its own encryption.
Right.
And so those are messages that are out there in the wild.
Okay.
And I have not re-explored the issue, but they have encryption. And the last time I looked at it, you had to purposely turn it on between you and the other contact.
In Facebook.
Well, in Messenger. In
Facebook Messenger. Okay.
I don't know if it's on by default now. I just haven't paid enough attention.
Because every time I go to use a chat or a call
nothing we said.
in WhatsApp, I get this message about encrypted.
That's
both
right,
ways.
because it's encrypted by default. That's the way they do things. And your voice calls are encrypted as well. Your WhatsApp voice calls are actually more secure than your standard cell phone calls.
And the video calling in there is really, really good as well.
Say that again?
Video calls,
Yes. Yeah.
like way better than some FaceTime and different things. that
Yeah.
I've
No,
tried.
it's a very good platform.
And it's free.
Yes, but it's owned by Facebook.
Oh,
And,
it
and
is.
all the metrics, all the data that they're accumulating is used for their ad platform. That's the compromise. That's the reason it's free.
You are the product.
You are the product. Bob, go right ahead.
Can I change the subject?
Sorry.
No.
How many of you have TVs?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Doesn't everybody have a TV?
Sure.
There's one in the house. We've never turned it on.
Okay. I am tired of looking at a black screen. And Ronald, the black man that came to the club last year, Ronald had a
We obviously need more black people to show up. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
I was simply identifying.
Right.
Okay.
It should be a little more difficult to identify. We're not very racially diverse in this group for some reason.
From the black screen to God. Okay, what are we doing?
Go right ahead, Bob.
I have a black screen when the TV is turned off.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay? I would like to be able to get pictures on my screen like he did. He had
Like a slideshow of pictures.
yes.
So the Chromecast will do that. An Apple TV will do that. A Fire Stick, I believe. You guys use a Fire Stick all the time. These are my folks back here. They came in late. So does your Fire Stick does that, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Gary's using one too. And so it will throw up images on the screen. I
How do you
probably could have worded that better.
I had a
It's
visual.
vomiting images onto your screen.
How do you make it happen?
I wouldn't like that.
It actually happens by default in all those three platforms. What do you have on
Well, you
your
have to
screen?
apply
What
the image.
device are you using for? It's a Roku, right?
Roku.
So does Roku do that?
I don't know, I haven't tried it.
You might have to install like say again?
Chromecast does.
Yeah, Chromecast definitely does it. You know, in the past, I had a really old Roku I used for a long time, and it had slideshow apps that you could install. And I know from my experience with the old Roku, it also had a screensaver setting. And so maybe, depending on what model you have, maybe there's a way to either you install an app to do that, or maybe you just have to go into your settings and look for the screensaver settings. Maybe it's become robust enough that you could do something like add a USB drive of pictures. Or maybe there's a way it ties to an app that you could download that would be pulling images off the internet to display to you. But I'm not familiar with what the Roku's doing in that respect. The Chromecast just picks its own images. And I think the Fire Stick does that too. Does that sound right? It just
Chromecast is something you buy. It's a box or something.
a Chrome
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a streaming device that you plug into your TV set.
You plug it into what?
HDMI.
HDMI.
What if you have a smart TV? You don't need that.
Well, you don't need it for the things the Chromecast are bringing, but you may not have the slideshow feature that Bob's looking for. Yeah. I mean, some smart TVs definitely do. I know my smart TV
You add apps to it.
has a screensaver function, but it seems like it's very limited on what it can do. I think it can like move a clock around. I think it can move its Samsung logo around, but I haven't seen anything in it. Yeah, I haven't seen anything where I could have any kind of control over it. And it's not beautiful. All their default stuff isn't like something I would leave my screen on for. But the Chromecast images, very beautiful images. You have no control over what gets put up. But it's better than a blank screen. It's better than just a black box on your wall. And the Fire TV, I think, does the same thing. And I know Apple will dip into your photo stream. So if instead of doing their photos from their services, they can put a slideshow of your photos.
I know how to do that, but with Chromecast you have to buy a little device, right?
That's right. All these require a device.
Device, okay, and what he was able to do was he was able to pull up photos, scenic photos, or dog photos,
Mm-hmm.
or
Well, Bob, for example, with a Chromecast, one of the things with the Chromecast, the whole point of the Chromecast, is you don't have a remote control. You actually have to use it with a side device. So you use it in conjunction with your phone or a laptop or a tablet. And because it's a Chromecast, what you're doing is you're casting your screen of that device over to that screen. And so Ronald could have any number of things that would be able to be popped up on that screen if that's how he was doing it.
Even Netflix.
Yeah.
Now, does it matter that our Chromecast came from Canada? Works on here?
Yeah, should work here, no problem. No, in fact, the regional stuff, like the Fire Sticks, the Chromecast, the Apple TVs, when you're using those for services, those services have licensed content in this country. And so something like Netflix, you start using that here, you're using your Canadian account, but you're limited to whatever is licensed in Mexico to be watched.
Oh, interesting, because we do watch Netflix a lot.
Yeah. And they've got such a catalog now. It's such an extensive catalog. Many people come to this country and don't even realize they're looking at a different catalog.
Right.
But it is different.
On the screen, when we log into Netflix, it shows our account.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so what gets presented to you is all the content that's been licensed for Mexico by Netflix. And a great example of the distinction of these catalogs for me is like Star Trek Discovery, a show that you can't watch in the United States on Netflix because it's only available on CBS All Access. And so they're requiring U.S. citizens to buy another streaming service if they're a Star Trek fan. But there are people that use Netflix and they use VPNs, and they make a VPN to Mexico or a VPN to England or to Canada, and they get to watch Star Trek through Netflix because it's been licensed to Netflix in those countries.
Okay, on my computer, I have VPN. I have no idea what it means, no idea what it does, but you just said those letters, so.
So VPN means virtual private network. That doesn't help you much at all. But what it really means is that you create a channel to another physical location, and so it gives services the impression you're coming from a different location.
Okay.
Yeah.
We use ours, we use ExpressView, pay a subscription for the year. When we're here, I want to watch my Netflix that is on in Canada, on my Canadian Global TV. So I have the apps, I turn on in the settings, Canada, in the ExpressView, like in the VPN.
Yeah.
So the TV channels think I am in Canada, and they will run the shows that I want to see.
Oh, interesting. We'll remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I use it when I'm banking and doing some different financial stuff in Canada. I set it so that it thinks I'm in Canada.
Because I was trying to do some shopping on Amazon.
Yes, and you got
.ca,
Amazon.
and it kept giving me Mexican prices, and then I was trying to order from Canada to be mailed to my daughter in Canada.
Yes.
Except they were going to charge something like $100 and some odd dollars shipping, because they thought they were going to have to ship it from Mexico, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get them to realize, no, I am.
Now
So
that's
turn
really
on the
odd. That should be
VPN.
sorted. What device were you using it on?
My laptop.
On your laptop, and you're just going to Amazon.ca.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm doing this right now because what you can go to Amazon MX and be in Mexico, and you can go to Amazon.com and be in the United States.
Right.
So it should not be switching you over, but maybe it's a Canada thing. Let's see,
What about
Emma.
Netflix? Is it like
American
that,
Express
too?
does the same thing to me. AmericanExpress.com
Right.
takes me to a U.S. site and I cannot log in. AmericanExpress.ca.
So there's something odd going on with your experience because here's Amazon.ca.
Yeah, but see, you've got this VPN up. This is
No,
before
I don't.
oh.
I'm not running a VPN. That's all turned off.
And I've got it too, I just typed in Amazon.ca.
So there's something
But
odd going
when
on
I
with your
ordered-
experience.
But when I ordered something, and it's fine, I could order it, you know, I want it shipped to this address.
What I don't have any Amazon Canada experience, but I have a lot of Amazon Mexican experience in contrast to Amazon US.
Right.
And it is clearly delineated between the two services. When I go to Amazon MX, I'm looking at Amazon's available catalog in Mexico.
Right.
I'm looking at prices in pesos.
Yep, and
I'm
I've
looking
had
at
that
shipping
happen.
rates for Mexico. When I go to Amazon.com, I am looking at prices in dollars. I am looking at products that are available in the U.S. market. I'm looking at shipping prices that are related to shipping in the United States. And I would expect the same experience if I were to go to Amazon.ca, which is kind of what I'm seeing here. Is
Right.
these are the products that are available in Canada.
But then
These
if you
are
try and
Canadian.
Try to
order
buy
one,
one, it
you
switches
try
over
and
to
buy
Mexico.
one and put in. Anyway, what I ended up doing was
Oh.
emailing my daughter. I said, "Buy this. Tell me how much I owe you, and I'll send you the money." So,
In Alaska,
Now-
would you be an advantage to get it from Amazon Canada?
No. Actually, that's a great question. I don't think
what
so.
was the question? What
Well,
was
I'm from Alaska, and he was asking if there would be an advantage to trying to buy things from Amazon Canada.
okay.
And I would bet there would be tariffs that would make that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's closer.
well, and you know, Alaska is like the ugly stepchild of the United States when it comes to stuff like that. My Sid's always complaining about my ability to easily buy things off of Amazon in Mexico that they won't ship to Alaska because whatever the freight is, whatever the distance, whatever it is, there's all kinds of stuff that we can't get in Alaska.
It's crossing over the border.
Twice.
Any of the stuff that we order into the U.S. from Canada is they put so many tariffs and so many fees on it, and it doesn't make it worth our while. We'll come to Mexico and order it from Canada, and it's awesome. You know, so like it's.
Well, you're right, and I have had on occasion to need something here.
Yep.
And I couldn't find it in the Mexican catalog. And so I went to the US catalog and they would ship it to Mexico and they had all the shipping and the tariffs right there calculated, and it was worth it to get it shipped from Mexico, from
So
the
Cheryl's
US.
saying that if you do it from .ca, you didn't get those tariffs.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. If I mean, that's what we just saw on the screen just now, is that we brought it up with Amazon.ca.
Right.
Everything was priced in Canadian dollars, and the catalog we're looking at should be relevant to Canada.
True. The only glitch, and it was Canadian dollars. The only thing I came up against was then I ordered it, and then it
Oh.
said shipping.
You know what?
The shipping was
Because you have to put in your address.
because they think they were shipping.
Well, let's bring this back up. In fact, I'm curious if I go to Canada's Amazon, if it's going to tell me.
Hello, select your.
I'm not even typing it right. Amazon Canada. That should be it. Okay, so it's not doing it on the Canada site, maybe because I don't do any.
Select your address.
Select your address.
Yeah, select your address.
Oh, it's
but
because I'm not
nothing-
signed in right now. So many times when I'm on the U.S. side of things, my selected address was Mexico,
Right.
because it's part of the same account. And many times I'll end up on the Mexican Amazon, and my selected address will have ended up left in my Mesa address. And so that will directly affect the shipping that you're being presented with.
Okay, so I will look for that, I had not noticed that.
Yeah,
before.
and it's something that they started, I want to say a couple of years ago. I can't remember exactly when it started, but I remember having that kind of problem.
Right.
And having to sort it out. It was just a visual thing that was screwing me up, but it would stop me from making a purchase.
Well, it did.
Yeah.
Not doing that.
Yeah, so up here in the upper left-hand corner, just look for this select your address,
Okay.
and that's probably all that's going on.
Is there
What do
another
you have
way,
for
when you do
substance?
go to amazon.com.next, whatever it is there a way to make it come up in English?
Yes.
Well, yeah, if you
Down at the
use
bottom.
a Chrome web browser and you change it to translate to English.
Or you can go down to the bottom
Yeah.
and change the language, I believe.
Where is that?
Amazon.mx?
Ah.
Is that what it is?
Where?
Right here at the bottom.
Oh.
Okay, but
perfect.
this is new. I mean, you guys were mentioning this a couple weeks ago. We did not used to have this.
Right.
And actually, does this work for Mexico?
I don't know.
You can probably
Be-
change it to French.
Change up there. to-
Let me go to the Mexican site, because I know on the phone and on the tablet there is no English.
I'm on Amazon Mexico. Where did you say I could change
It was down
Way
at the bottom.
Cheryl.
I'm at the bottom.
Cheryl.
I'm all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, it's not on there.
There.
And that's what I'm saying. Here it is in Spanish, and let's see if this is available. I bet it's
Do you
got.
know why they do that in Canada, I bet you? Because English, French. Because we're a bilingual country.
Well, see, it's not there.
Not there, so I
Okay,
can't
go
switch
back
it.
up though to the top.
Translate this page. You see it?
It's all in Mexican.
Right.
And see here.
I,
that's
yeah,
what-
and you see it says Mesa right there, and so that would affect all of, as I'm looking at products and it's trying to calculate for me those impromptu shipping costs, that would affect it all. So I just click in here, switch it to my San Carlos address, and now when it calculates shipping and presents it to me, it's going to be correct. So if I wanted this in English,
Part here.
it's not asking me to translate because I'm in Opera, and I don't know what I need to do in Opera to tell it to.
And I'm in Safari,
Copy.
and it's nothing.
So I'll go over to Chrome. Chrome should ask me automatically, and then go to.
It's a good way to.
There it is. You see how it pops up here? Translate this page.
Oh, I love
And
it.
so I hit translate, and it is a
Where did you get that?
beautiful translation. Well, it happens in Chrome automatically. It pops up right here when it sees a foreign language other than the language that you work in.
Okay, wait,
So is
Safari
Chrome
doesn't
like
have any?
a Firefox?
That's right.
Oh, so I can just download
You can just
that
download
server?
Chrome,
Or
that's
whatever you
right.
call it. What do you call that? A search?
It's
What's it
Google
called?
Chrome.
It's Google Chrome.
Yeah,
It's
but what is it?
it's a web
server?
browser.
A web browser.
yeah, web browser.
I know just enough about computers to get into real trouble.
Well, it is a beautiful translation because the translations that I mean, I can't believe that they haven't made this an option because it's all computer generated.
It is translated.
It's
See down below.
everything
Wedding gift table.
everything is written in English, and then it uses machine
The banners and.
intelligence to translate it to Spanish in the first place. So when you translate the page, it translates it into English beautifully.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh, I'm
So
gonna
I
be
need to
shopping
download
like
Chrome.
crazy. I know it.
All right.
I have a problem with.
Hold on a second. Bob has been trying to get our attention throughout this whole conversation. Bob, this is for you. Well,
All I'm asking is, what do you have on your list?
oh,
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
Are we ready for some of my stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I've one
Yes.
other
I have an
thing.
iCloud problem.
What's
Yes.
what's the gold
I'm sorry,
standard
Jim.
for-
Your wife's used all your time.
Oh, I'm going shopping.
No, go ahead.
Double whammy. What's the gold standard now? Like Telcel is it's what we have now. But you mentioned these other things. Which is the one that's doing the best job for people in San Carlos right now?
You're talking about for internet service
Yeah.
providers?
Yeah.
It really depends on where you're living.
No,
Tequilas.
You're in Tequilas. Gary, do you have a?
It's gone.
Oh, Gary left.
He
He's
left.
gone.
We have a virtual Gary here.
We have a
Well, you guys
virtual
are in
Gary.
Tech Alive. What do you use?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
No, we just got Telcel.
Telcel.
No,
Yeah,
Telmex.
Mega cable.
You guys are on Telmex
Telmex.
Infinitum.
Yeah,
There's
that's all
also
we can do.
Telcel
If you are
option.
back a ways into Tequilas, that's all you get.
So you guys understand that where you're located in Telcel or in Tech Alive
Yeah.
determines what you have available to you.
Oh, interesting. Okay. It's working well right now, but it wasn't.
Took us
Took
about
3 visits to their office to get it fixed.
about 8 days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 3.5.
Megabits a second. Somebody has fixed your line.
It is incredible.
Now Jody's in Loma Del Mar. So is Paul, and 3 is a high number in Loma Del Mar
And what are we?
with Telmex.
You're getting probably about 3 to 4, maybe 5.
You can do a speed test on your.
Speedtest.net.
Sometimes you can
Yeah.
get 5.
Speedtest.net.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
We did that last year.
We're doing 50.
Now,
Wow.
We don't-
what you might do is you might
Tequilas,
check with
just- yeah,
X-Pro,
you get-
and you might check with TCS
And
I-
also
Well, it was.
Telcel.
20.
and
Yeah, it's
Telcel. Except Telcel still has bandwidth caps, so you buy a
Past my
bundle of
expectations.
Yeah.
of data, whereas
to
the
6
other
is
2
top,
that
so
are
we get that.
here locally
Unlimited.
A lot of
have
times
unlimited.
it's-
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we did that with this, and we used it for a hotspot in the meantime.
Now, Jody, weren't you telling me that your neighbor's getting like 28 through
X-Pro.
through X-Pro
Wow.
Wi-Fi, and they
With a
come
big
out and they
antenna.
put an antenna on your
Big
house,
antenna.
and they line up with their antenna?
Was that,
Will that
those
go
little white
down?
ones? Those little white
Yeah.
ones?
Will that go down as they get more and more customers though?
Well, it shouldn't, but it's possible.
That's why I think mine's going up and up, is because more and more people in Loma Del Mar are switching.
They're
It,
getting
it
20.
it shouldn't work that way. I mean, the way the technology works, it should not work that way. But the way things work around here, it could very well be working that way.
That's what I, when I first heard about this, $14 a month sounds good to get such performance. You gotta buy a $200 box to begin with.
US too.
Okay, so after 200 months, you're down to $16 a month, you know what I
But
mean?
it's very fast.
It's very fast, but
And the
I just
antenna.
wondered over that time, would it go down? That's the.
For the installation.
But the
And all
Telmex,
Yeah.
doesn't it have phone?
That's what we have.
Yeah.
But our phones never rung because everyone calls us on the cell phone.
But your phone, your landline,
Yeah.
has unlimited to Canada and USA.
Yeah, it
Probably.
does.
We never use it. We always
does.
use this.
Well, this has unlimited also.
So you could dial your internet provider's dial in your AOL connection from here. And no, I'm just kidding. We can flash back in time 15 years and dial up AOL.
Yeah.
I do have some topics. One I'd like to hit is Windows 7 support is ending next month. So I've got an article that I'll put on the website that you guys can link to that talks about how you can still get a free update if you're using Windows 7 still. I recommend you switch to Windows 10. All the security is going to stop. They're going to stop updating it. Bug fixes. They're going to stop updating it. This is the cutoff for Windows 7. It's 10 years old, so it's time to get to the new operating system. But what I liked about the article is it was reassuring us that even though Microsoft says it's not, the free upgrade is no longer available, it's totally still available. So if you need to upgrade your computer and you're confused by what I'm talking about, just give me a call and I'll give you a hand with it.
I hate the upgrades. They changed my computer for the worse.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have a thing that I could import pictures from the chip. Now I can't. Now I have to cut and copy.
Or there's just a different way to do it. You have to use.
Well, there's nothing automatic. Before it was automatic when I put.
Well, if you're using Windows 10, you can go into the Photos program and use import, and it'll ask you from where you're importing,
Oh, really?
and that can be the chip.
Photos program is where?
It's part of Windows 10. It's just called
I mean,
Photos.
Photos is the folder.
No, Photos is an app.
I'll have to look.
Yeah, look for an app in Windows 10 called Photos.
Pictures is the folder.
Yeah, Pictures is the folder,
Alright.
but Photos is the app. And when you start it up, it's got in the upper right-hand corner, it's got an import feature, and it's
Okay.
asking you where to import from. And when you add a chip, when you slide a chip into your computer, it should be asking you, what do you want to do with it?
Yeah, okay.
And if it's not, I would be Googling how to fix that, because you may have set something by default, and it may be do nothing has been set for default. But when you slide it in, it should ask you what you want to do with it, and you can set it by default to open the Photos app and import.
Well, do nothing is my motto in life, so.
That's why I assumed that's what you got it set to.
It's a Sam Rainwater song too.
So yeah, if you're running Windows 7, if you're a holdout, you should stop being a holdout. It's going to become a real security risk. If you've got other computers on your Wi-Fi network and you're running Windows 7, your Windows 7 computer could be the vector for security problems in your whole household. Because that's what that odd Windows 7 computer in your life is going to turn into. It's going to turn into the honeypot for viruses and compromises that take advantage of all the other computers on your network.
The honeypot. Okay.
So you want to deal with that before January.
Well, you
Are you going to talk about your smart TV eavesdropping and everything that just came out on the news last night or this morning?
No, that's not on my list of topics, but it'll probably be with us next week.
Okay. Because that just hit the news, even though we've talked about it several years ago.
I have, yeah, because we did talk about it several years ago. It's funny how news is secular. People aren't paying attention. When we found out about the government cutting into our main telephone lines and archiving every phone conversation, every text, well, we knew about that in 2006, but people didn't start listening until 2012. It was like 6 years later, people are finally taking it seriously. And I can tell by expressions on people's faces they weren't with us during those time periods either. Great surprise. Yes, the government is copying everything you do.
Have they got nothing better to do?
Yeah. Well, it's much easier to sift through that to find out if you're a bad guy than to actually go out after bad guys. It's a lot cheaper.
They use AI.
Well, that's the thing now is they've got black boxes and they use AI to figure out who the bad guy is. Pretty soon they're going to have something just telling you were going to commit a crime.
Oh my God, my heart rate's going up. Change the subject.
All right. Well, in this vein, another thing that I was going to enlighten you to, the very first cell phone detection cameras are being distributed in Australia. This is an interesting article talking about how, we have traffic cams to see if you run a red light. Right. Well, now these cams are sophisticated enough to see if you're talking on your phone. Oh. So you're not running a red light. You're having a conversation with work at the red light, and you're getting an infraction sent to you in the mail because a camera saw it.
What if it's on your lap?
If it's, well, I don't know.
Can they see that?
I don't know. These are good questions.
What if?
Last spring, we were in Vegas sitting at a stoplight, and there was a police car over here on the other one, and all of a sudden we hear on a big speaker, "Get off the phone!"
Oh, that's great.
I don't know.
I don't know how
God
many
speaking.
people turned their phone off.
Right, yeah, this is like a whole street of people are all putting their phone away.
It was great.
You
I
can see
want
every
one of,
head,
I want one
you
of
know,
those
was-
speakers
And
in
the
mine.
bullhorn is,
So I
God
can-
is speaking.
Yeah, just go up beside. Get off the phone.
That's really funny.
It was cool.
We told our
I was
granddaughter
next
that.
to somebody that was signaling for a left turn, and I heard, "You can't turn left here." There was a cop car facing us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we want a
Every once in a
megaphone.
while, karma hits.
You know what I like about that? I mean, that's much more. That's like
That's better than giving
sophisticated.
a ticket, right?
Yeah, it's sophisticated Andy Griffith policing, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, you idiot! I'm gonna pull you over if you don't stop.
Well, instead of waiting for somebody to do something dangerous and give them a ticket,
Right.
keep them from doing something dangerous.
Right, that's what their job is
Prevention.
supposed to be.
Serve and protect.
Not using cameras to determine whether you're on the phone and send you a ticket in the mail for it later. But apparently, that's something that's going to be going on.
I'm not going to object to that. I don't object to red light cameras either.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do, because I got a ticket because
do.
I got hung up trying to make a left turn by people coming through the yellow light, coming through the pink light, coming through the red light while I was sitting there. So I got the ticket.
in BC a few years
Oh,
ago,
you
they-
got stuck in the intersection trying to turn.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
Yeah.
Why they gave you the ticket was a jerk.
You're not supposed to be.
It was a
close in.
robot.
It was a
It's
camera.
somebody working, looking at a camera.
Oh, a robot, wow.
Yeah.
They had
Yes.
them they had for speed
Speed
Speed cameras, yeah.
cameras too
In
BC for a while.
Arizona, they used to have a camera car sitting in the median.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that.
Yeah. It actually there was a statistical drop in accidents and deaths on the highway while they had it.
Now, I was going 75 like this, and I see the camera, a live policeman sitting in the divider like that, and this guy passed me. I thought, what an idiot to pass somebody that's on cruise control at 75.
Right. On the divider.
In front of the cop.
Well, it's all about. I'm pro following the law. I'm not so much pro cameras everywhere. It's difficult to be that way because they have good intentions, but they can be used for all kinds of stuff.
Defines good.
Misuse.
I know,
Yeah.
I was gonna say really good.
Now,
Well, I mean, like you wouldn't want somebody running a red light.
Well, no.
Yeah, and
But the
if
cameras
you knew
don't
you were
stop
going to get a
that.
ticket automatically for running a red light, hopefully that would control
I
you.
don't think it does though.
Yeah.
I think those people are gonna run that light no matter what.
Well, eventually they lose.
Well, they might as well pay then.
Eventually.
Now, on NCIS, they always have access to all these
I was
highway cameras and stuff like that. Is that possible that they could have access?
Yeah, absolutely. England is notorious for having closed circuit TV cameras everywhere and having access to all these other
But I mean,
cameras.
any agency that wants to tap into it?
They say that there is one camera for every 3 people in England. Or in London. I'm sorry. I'm telling you London stats. Like 1 camera for every 3 people. That's where they're at. And whether it's a bank camera or a city camera, they can get access to it if they need to.
And it takes.
Scott,
Yeah.
you can flip this. Instead of helping people, you can make it so that they have accidents. You think everything is going to be for the good? Man, they can tip that. They can flip that the other way,
Okay.
and they can say, "You better get through this intersection," and they know a car is coming and they're going to hit.
But why would they do that? What would
Sure,
be the
they
point?
can.
And they can turn
It
on the
just
red
matter-
light,
that's-
make it a red light instead of the green light.
Yes.
I just want to know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are they and why are they doing
Per
this?
se.
You think
I,
it's all-
I mean, I would hope it's not the government doing it.
Yeah.
Scott, you got all these cameras in London, but it takes a narwhal tusk and an extinguisher to put down the terrorist.
Did you see that?
Right.
On the bridge?
Yeah.
They did, what did
Oh, I
it
think we
take?
better if they used a baculum.
A guy had
Walrus
a
vacuum.
narwhal
Walrus
spear
vacuum,
that he
the penis
uses
bone
for.
of a walrus.
He was in his
But
car.
it's like
there
a
was somebody
little
attacking.
Yeah, I
baseball.
So he
was
grabbed
all
the
the
tusk.
time.
So you
like a
have.
fish bonker.
So
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
they used to stop this guy from stabbing people.
Well, we're over time for the end of our club meeting. I've got a couple other topics. Can easily wait till next week,
Yeah.
and so we'll bring them up then.
We'll
Next
let you
time,
start
so we
with
can
them.
eagerly anticipate.
What's that?
We'll let you start with next time.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Scott,
Maybe I'll get to choose the topics
Scott?
next time. Yes, Bob.
bring them up. Bring them up at the beginning of the meeting, okay?
Okay.
That's what I
Okay.
just said.
All
Let him go
right.
first, yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being here with me.
Thank you.
This has been the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, signing off for now and wishing you a good week. I hope you'll join us next Tuesday. We meet here at Tequilas from 9:15 to 10:15 every Tuesday. Tequilas is a great place. Come here if you're in San Carlos. They got good food. Come on a Tuesday and join us for your meeting. They give us good Wi-Fi. They have one of the fastest Wi-Fi spots in town. They've got good food. They got friendly people taking care of us. I say all these things and I get nothing for it. They are not paying me to say these things. These are genuine feelings about Tequilas that I have. They are very patient with me. I got cables going everywhere around here. If you're looking for computer help anywhere out there on internet land, I'd appreciate you getting a hold of me. My business is International Computer Solutions. You can find us through our website at internationalcs.net. You can write me directly at scott@internationalcs.net. Or you can call us if you're local. Our number is 226-0209. You can call us from anywhere in the world, +52 622 226-0209. Until next week, everybody tech on. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you on Tuesday.